Ladies and gentlemen, capital G here, and good morning. Right back at it with Jorn, God of Winter, question mark. I don't know if anyone's paid close attention to the thumbnail. It kind of spoils my plan a little bit. I like to do things that are a little quirky, a little off, you're not necessarily supposed to do it that way. And that's what we're doing here. So let's start by talking about Jorn. Or in fact, let's not talk about Jorn. I mean, yes, it looks like we have a green legend, but on the flip side of Jorn is Kaldring the Rimestaff. Kaldring is our commander, and we're playing Dimir. Not the way you're specifically supposed to build the Jorn deck, but that's what I'm going with because surprise! So let's look at Kaldring the Rimestaff. Black, blue, and a generic mana gives us a legendary snow artifact we can cast from our command zone. We can tap it, and we may play target snow permanent card from our graveyard this turn. If we do, it enters the battlefield tapped. So we're playing Dimir, recursion from the graveyard, with a heavy focus on snow. And when I say Dimir, I mean there is no way naturally in this deck to cast Jorn. I made it a very specific point as a deck building challenge to make it so. So let's start with some of our artifacts, ramping a little bit with Dimir Locket, Dimir Signet. Also running the Icebind Pillar in this deck. It's a snow permanent, why not? Soul Ring, and the Talisman of Dominance. Moving right to creatures, and we have a lot of them. This is very creature heavy for Dimir. And we're looking back to Modern Horizons and Cold Snap for some help. So Adakar Wind Form, this 5-mana 3/3 flying illusion. And you can pay a snow and 1 generic mana to have another creature loose flying until end of turn. The Ascendant Spirit coming in from Kaldring, just 1 blue to put out this 1/1. And then you can sort of level it up by paying an ever increasing amount of snow mana until it eventually turns into at least a 4/4 Warrior Angel. Then you can start adding +1/+1 counters on it. Avalanche Caller. This human wizard lets you pay 2 mana to turn a snow land you control into a 4/4 elemental creature with hexproof and haste. Balduvian Frostwalker, not a snow creature, but it turns snow lands into a 2/2 blue elemental creature with flying. Bizarre Trade Mage, it's a nice cool way for us to put cards into our graveyard so we can cast them with Rimestaff. So for 3 mana, this 3/4 flyer, pretty significant stats actually for the cost, will enter the battlefield, lets us draw 2 cards and then discard 3 cards. Bergstrider, when this enters the battlefield, we tap down an artifact or creature an opponent controls. And as long as we've spent snow to do so, which is very easy in this deck, that permanent will not untap until untap during the next untap step. Blizzard Spectre. This snow creature, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player returns a permanent they control to their owner's hand, or they discard a card. Blizzard Strix, coming in from Modern Horizons. 3/2 with flash and flying, and when this enters the battlefield, as long as we control another snow permanent, we get to exile another permanent other than the Blizzard Strix. So it's a slow blink. Running the Burning Room Demon, just to give us a little bit more firepower for this deck. Really awesome card. 6/6 flyer lets us tutor out 2 cards. One's going to hit our yard, one goes to our hand, and on this deck they may as well both go into our hand. The Chiller Pillar. I love this name. 4 mana for this 3/3, but you pay 4 and 2 snow mana to give it monstrosity. As long as it's monstrous, it has flying. So it starts as a 3/3 on the ground, it can become a 5/5 flyer. Pretty cool common. Chilling Shade. We can use any snow mana to give it +1/+1 until end of turn. That's actually really good, I think. Draugr Necromancer coming in from Kaldring. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, it's exiled with an ice counter instead, and we get to cast those cards. Dream Devourer. This 2 mana 0/3 says each non-land card in your hand without Foretell has Foretell. its foretell cost is equal to the mana cost reduced by 2. So yeah, we can foretell our cards, save them for later. And whenever you foretell a card, this guy gets +2/0 until end of turn. I don't think we'll be swinging too much with him, but you never know. Running the Dreamscape Artist to help us ramp up. Basically 3 mana, it's a repeated hero in blue. Egon, God of Death. We're not necessarily playing him for the front side. I'm not sure if it's a he or her. I think it's a her. But 3 mana for this 6/6 Death Touch, but on the flip side of that is the Throne of Death. This 1 black artifact says we get to mill a card at the beginning of our upkeep. Putting cards to our graveyard means we get to cast them later. And yes, we can always exile a creature card from our graveyard to draw a card if we need something better. The Frost Augur. 1 mana for this 1/2, and we just spend a snow to look at the top card of our library. If it's snow, we can put it into our hand. As you can see, at least half our deck is going to be snow, so pretty good odds. Frost Raptor. Pay 2 snow. This cannot be the target of spells or abilities this turn. Frostpeak Yeti. Can't be blocked this turn if you pay a snow and 1 mana. This is 3/3 for 4 mana. Grim Draugr. 3 mana, 3/2. Pay a snow and 1 generic to give it 1/0 and menace until end of turn. Gutless Ghoul. Sacrifice a creature, gain 2 life. So we have ourselves a little sack outlet, costs 1 mana to use, gains us some life, and lets us replay some of our snow creatures. Hailstrom Valkyrie. This is actually pretty cool. 4 mana, 2/2 with flying and trample, and you pay 2 snow to give it +2/+2 until end of turn. Haidar, Rimewind Master. For the long time was the de facto snow commander. Says here 5 mana for this 3/3 human wizard. It's 2 tap and return a permanent to its owner's hand, and we can only do this if we control 4 or more snow permanents, which is super easy in this deck. Icebreaker Kraken. We've discussed this last time. A little more depth on this one. It's 10 mana for an 8/8, or 12 mana for an 8/8. Its cost is reduced by the number of snowlands we control. And when this enters the battlefield, artifacts and creatures an opponent controls do not untap. So somebody's tapped out or tapped out some key pieces, we can lock them down. And we can actually bring snowlands back to our hand in order to bring the Kraken back to our hand and recast it. Icehide Golem. For 1 snow mana, we've got a 2/2. Lochmere Serpent. Not a snow creature, but this can come back from the graveyard totally on its own, and it has quite the effect. So 6 mana for this 7/7 with flash. We can always sacrifice an island so that the serpent cannot be blocked this turn. By the way, we can use our staff to bring that island back to play. Same thing with the swamp. Sacrifice the swamp, we gain a life and draw a card, and we can use our staff to bring it right back into play. Or blue and black, exile 5 cards from an opponent's graveyard and return Lochmere Serpent from our graveyard to your hand. We can only do this at sorcery speed, but very, very powerful effect from Eldraine. That would be quite good to have here. Narfy Betrayer King. Other snow and zombie creatures you control get +1/+1. And we can pay 3 snow to return this from our graveyard to the battlefield tapped. I guess naturally you might want to run Narfy as your snow commander in theory, but I wanted the recursion out of the command zone, so that's why I went this route. Phyrexian Ironfoot. This 3 mana 3/4, very aggressively costed. You pay 1 and a snow to untap the Phyrexian Ironfoot. I actually used to run a deck where I exchanged this with another player who did not run snow, and well, they'd have a tapped Phyrexian Ironfoot, and I have whatever their best creature was. So this deck doesn't do that, but that's my history with this card. Phyrexian Snowcrusher. 6/5 Juggernaut. It attacks each turn if able, and we can pay generic and snow mana to give it +1/0 until end of turn. The Pilfering Hawk. This 2 mana bird. Already better than Stormcrow because it's a snow bird. And on top of that, you could pay a snow, tap it to draw and discard a card. Priest of Haunted Edge. 0/4 for 2 mana. We can sacrifice this to have target creature get -X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of snow lands we control. So this is repeatable removal for us in this deck. Running Rankle, not a snow creature, but that's okay because it makes it so that each player discards a card whenever he attacks. And cards that we discard are essentially still in our hand with this deck, so sure. Also, each player can lose a life and draw a card, or each player sacrifices a creature. That is totally up to us what we want to do with Rankle. The Rimebound Dead, 1 snow mana to regenerate this 1/1, blocks forever for us. Rime Feather Owl. It's star. Power and toughness is equal to the number of snow permanents in play. It doesn't count ours, it counts all snow permanents. So if we're playing against someone who has snow permanents, which we likely will thanks to Kaldring, this bird is even bigger. Quite the payoff for playing snow. And we can, if they're not playing snow, that's fine. We can put ice counters on their permanents and turn them into snow. Rimewind Chiromancer. Not a snow creature, but because we're running snow permanents, we can pay 1 and tap this to counter an activated ability. The Rimewind Taskmage. Tap or untap target permanents. We can only do this again if we control 4 or more snow permanents. Piece of cake here. Ronom Serpent, 5/6 for 6 mana. Can't attack unless the defending player controls a snow land. So even if our opponents aren't playing snow, this blocks everything forever. No one's going to attack into this. Sir Conrad the Grim. We do need some offense. Again, not a snow creature, but cards are going in and out of our graveyard all the time in this deck, so slowly drain everybody out with this powerful uncommon from Eldraine. And Tergrid, God of Fright, is here. I was debating if I wanted to build the Tergrid deck or put her in the 99 of a deck. I decided to put her in the 99. Stupid powerful. I like the regular art the best, actually. I don't really like the art that they used for the showcase as much as her regular art, but she's not here here to look pretty. 4/5 for 5 mana with Menace, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, we put that card from the graveyard onto the battlefield under our control. We also have the Tergrid's Lantern, which later in the game we might be able to use it to go on offense depending on our opponent's state, if they have cards in hand or not, if they have permanents in play or not. But really, we're playing this for the Tergrid side most of the time. Vantress Gargoyle, 5/4 for 2 mana. Not a snow creature, but it does help us put cards into the graveyard. Zombie Musher has Snow Landwalk, so there you go. Can't be blocked by anyone who controls snow lands. And 1 snow to regenerate. So can chip it for some damage, can chip it and attack some planeswalkers. Blocks forever. Moving on to some enchantments, going on to a Torment Classic, Compulsion. For 2 mana, we have an enchantment where we can pay 2 mana to discard a card from our hand and draw a card. Or we can pay 2 mana and sacrifice Compulsion to draw a card if we need to at any point in the game. King Narfy's Betrayal. Cool little saga here. I like a lot of the new sagas. This one is black, blue, and 1 generic. Chapter 1 is each player mills 4 cards. So we basically draw 4 cards. Then we may exile a creature or planeswalker card from each graveyard. Chapters 2 and 3 allow us to cast spells exiled by King Narfy's Betrayal. Merit Lage's Slumber. We discussed this in the last deck tech, but it's here again because we're running lots of snow permanents and we're running blue. We have our chance to get a 2020 Merit Lage. Let's go for it. Rime Transfusion. This snow enchantment can enchant any creature, of course, for 2 mana. An enchanted creature gets +2/+1 and has snow. This creature can't be blocked except by snow creatures. So, Cold Snap coming through with some evasion for us. The Trickster God's Heist. This is my favorite new saga. I love this card. For 4 mana, Chapter 1, exchange control of 2 target creatures. Chapter 2, exchange control of 2 target non-basic non-creature permanents that share a card type. So this is actually a way for us to, you know, trade our Trickster God's Heist itself for any of our opponent's enchantments, for example, or we can exchange lands. We can do a lot of stuff with that second chapter. The third chapter, target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Not such a big deal. I like it for chapter 1 and 2 because those are amazing cards, amazing effects. Wondrous Rest, blue and 1 for this aura. It enchants creatures, and whenever this enters the battlefield, you tap the creature, and as long as you control another snow permanent, enchanted creature does not untap. Over to instance with Behold the Multiverse. Scry 2 and then draw 2 cards, and we can foretell this card naturally, so it's a way to just draw some extra cards for us. Frantic Search, draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and untap 3 lands. Puts a couple cards into our graveyard. Easy run. Graven Lore. Again, we can basically, we're scrying up to 5 cards and then drawing 3. That's quite huge, especially at instant speed. Malachi Rebirth helps us protect one of our creatures, or we can play it as a land instead if we so chose to. Poison the Cup. This is a slightly improved murder card. Destroy target creature. If the spell was foretold, scry 2. So yes, it's a little more expensive to foretell it and then cast it, but if you foretell this, you know, fairly early in the game, and then you finally find your use for it, why not? It's dirt cheap to cast once it's been foretold. Saw It Coming, same deal, except it's a counter spell in this instance. Brings us to lands with Evolving Wilds, Fabled Passage, Faceless Heaven, because we can turn this into a 4/3 with Vigilance if we need to. Frostmarsh coming in from Cold Snap to give us some reliable mana. This does not have basic land types, but it is still snow. Frostrock Bastion. Until end of turn, this becomes a 2/3 construct artifact creature. And whenever this deals combat damage to a creature, that creature is tapped and does not untap during its controller's next untap step. Ice Tunnel, the snow duel that has basic land types. Mouth of Renome. We can pay 5 and sacrifice this to deal 4 damage to a creature. Just might clear the way for either us or another player's creatures. Scrying Sheets, again, pretty much more than half our deck is snow, so this gives us a good chance to draw more snow cards. Running 13 islands and 14 swamps of the snow-covered variety, of course. Terramorphic Expanse is here as well, bringing us to 36 lands. Sorceries, some more snow payoffs here with Blood on the Snow. We can destroy all creatures or destroy all planeswalkers for 6 mana. And then we get to return a creature or planeswalker card with converted mana cost X or less from our graveyard to the battlefield. So likely a 6 CMC or less planeswalker or creature comes back to us. Running Covetous Urge from Eldraine. Target opponent reveals their hands. We choose a non-land card from that player's graveyard or hand and exile it. As long as it remains exiled, we can cast it. And my cat's trying to steal the show here. I'm not entirely sure what's motivating her today. Usually it's food. Dark Deal. Each player discards all the cards in their hand and draws that many cards -1. So that's card advantage for us, card disadvantage for our opponents. Dread of Winter coming in from Modern Horizons. All non-snow creatures get -X until end of turn, where X is the number of snow permanents we control. So very much a one-sided board wipe in our favor. Epic Downfall exiles a creature of converted mana cost 3 or greater. And Windfall, again, to discard our hand and draw cards equal to the greatest number of cards discarded this way. And that is our Kaldring the Rimestaff deck. Bet you weren't expecting that when you clicked the thumbnail. And I think we're just in time. It sounds like my daughter's waking up for the day, so I'm going to sign off here. And I will see you again next time. Bye for now.